Hello again, YouTube, and I'm back with another video here. And in this video I show that I have gone back to my Magnum inverter. I was having some problems with the Schneider electric inverter charger. And what it was is, there were some times I had to reset the unit because it didn't, work with the AC support or the grid support. Like I wanted. Essentially, I go off of, grid support, and then all of a sudden, something would trigger on the inside of the unit and I would have to reset it, just like you'd have to reset a computer. And it got to be annoying. It didn't happen a lot. It just that, if you were away from the house and all of a sudden you flip a switch from a distance and you got to reset the unit when you get back, and that's kind of a hassle. So I decided to go back to the Magnum inverter. The Schneider electric inverter still works. There's no problems. It just, having to reset or reboot, it can be inconvenient after a while. So I decided to use the Magnum inverter as my primary inverter and the Schneider electric inverter as my backup, just in case something happens to this one. Magnum inverters are pretty solid. They're very reliable, and I've had this for a number of years. Not only that, but if you look here on the side, you can see that they also come, with circuit breakers. So if something goes wrong, I don't have to reboot the inverter. If one of those circuit breakers are popped, I just simply push it back in and reset them, as opposed to having to shut down the inverter. So this right here, essentially I thought would be a much better fit for what I have to do. To control, going off grid and on grid automatically, their Magnum inverter, or Magnum Energy, who produces this inverter, they have their own little tools you can buy that allow you to control this thing a lot better. But I decided to go with something like this. This is a Raspberry Pi version 3, and the version 3 comes with 4 USB ports and Ethernet port. It also has internal Wi-Fi capability. This is the micro USB charging port right here, and this right here is an HDMI, and this is for sound. And on the back there, you can see where the SD card goes in, and this is the brains. And utilizing a programming language called Python, I decided to create my own little control module. And with this right here, I could control those two solid state relays in that box. I can control them and automatically go on and off grid, utilizing the information coming from the Midnight Classic, specifically the Whiz-Bang Junior. I can get the battery voltage, and I can also get the state of charge through Modbus TCP. And through Modbus TCP, I can actually, create a software program, which I did. I've been running it for weeks now, and it works great. What will happen is I have the software program, analyze or monitor the voltage and the state of charge. If the voltage is above 29 volts and the state of charge is above like 97 or 98%, then this thing will automatically send a signal to the Midnight Classic, that auxiliary relay contact. It'll send a signal to tell it to switch to control these solid state relays, turning off the input from the grid, and therefore putting the system in off grid mode. Not only that, but I also have it programmed to where it will send me a text message letting me know when it's done, when it has done that. It'll send me a text message that says, hey, the house is off grid, and also the battery voltage and the state of charge and the time it went off grid. And also, when the battery voltage reaches, let's say, for instance, below 20 volts or like 19 volts, the Magnum inverter, the battery low voltage cutoff is 18 volts. So at below 19 volts, I just have it, simply monitor the voltage and switch back on grid automatically. Because this thing has Wi-Fi capability, all I have to do is just simply plug in the power right there, right here, just plug in the power, and this thing will work automatically on its own. And so it's worked great. I mean, the Raspberry Pi, it's inside of this case. I bought the case it is as an accessory, as a kit actually. It came as one big kit. And these things work pretty good. They work great. Now, in the meantime, I can still utilize my human machine interface, or my HMI here. And as you can see, my battery voltage is 26.16 volts. I'm at 95%. I was off grid earlier, but I did this just to kind of demonstrate. As you can see, my system, I've modified it so that I can look at a glance and know when I'm on grid, when I'm on and off grid. So I'm going to change that. I'm just simply going to go off grid. Here's the same old switch. I hit the switch, and you can see that it says inverting now, so I'm off grid, and I can go back here to my HMI, and the system tells me that now I'm off grid, and it also tells me the amperage, that I'm taking out of the bank and state of charge, all of these things. And utilizing this, I don't have to worry about getting up in the morning or if the voltage goes way below what I want. This thing here will control it. It just plug it in next to my router or and so forth, or use Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and it will send a signal over my network to control those relays and either go on grid or stay off grid. Anyway, it works great. Let me show you the Schneider Electric controller. Hold on, or the inverter. Okay, here is the Schneider Electric inverter. It still works, and it is a good inverter, but I have to say, I don't think it is as good as the Magnum inverter. I don't think it's as robust. I mean, it's a real beefy inverter, and it gets the job done. It's just that I think the Magnum inverters are much better. I'd say this is still within the top 3, and I say as far as a top inverter charger, it's hard to beat a Magnum inverter. So my recommendation, if you can get one, get a Magnum inverter if you're gonna get anything. But the other inverters, they work too. It's just that, for my benefit, for heavy duty use, you can't beat a Magnum inverter. And this Connex SW, it is a good inverter. It's just that you have to, take into account that this thing is controlled by a lot of software, and sometimes you have to reset the thing. And again, it can be annoying. It can be annoying, especially for me if I'm doing a lot of things remotely and having to do a reset. You can reset it through the software and stuff like that, but again, I thought that was a big hassle. But as a backup inverter, hey, this thing is great. So I'll just go ahead and keep it like that. But anyway, take care, YouTube, and have a good one.